You have turned into Remote Control's latest episode. Listen in as the GCRN crew talks TV from 2000 to now, with pilot and season premiere episodes, finishing finales, and season passes as well. Now get ready to change the channel with your Remote Control as we bring you the latest and greatest in the world of television. All from the Geekcast Radio Network. We are all remote controlled.
Grab that remote control because the GCRN's brand new TV podcast is here. We are calling it Remote Control. I am your host, TFG1 Mike, and joining me this time around is Doug Abel from Talking About My Generation. Hello, sir.
Hello, sir.
How are you?
I am doing great, actually.
Awesome. So, Remote Control, as we've already stated, is about the current TV generation. In this latest pilot premiere episode, we are taking a look at another new show from Fox entitled Red Band Society. Before we get too far into the show or the discussion, we're going to put a little news break here so I can give you a bit of the caffeine news from this past week from the Televixen.com. We'll be back with the Red Band Society stage dressing after the news.
Hello, channel surfers, and welcome to the Remote Control's news segment with Steve Megatron and TFG1 Mike.
Yes, we are here to talk about this past week's television news, as always, from the Televixen.com. Kate Welsh's caffeine collection of news every week. This is for the Sunday, October 26th edition. Happy Sunday, we've finally got our first new show cancellation for the season, but first, some good news. Picked up for full seasons, The Flash and Jane the Virgin. Renewed is Z Nation. Canceled, Manhattan Love Story and FX's The Bridge. MTV has picked up an additional 10 episodes of Faking It. Additional scripts ordered for Red Band Society. That is good news, because I love that show, and I've heard that the ratings haven't been that great, so Fox might drop it, but it's a good sign that they're picking up additional scripts. ABC has ordered extra episodes of Blackish, Castle, The Goldbergs, Grey's Anatomy, The Middle, Modern Family, and Once Upon a Time. The latter's extra episode will be part of a 2-hour episode on November 16th. CSI's episode order for this season has been reduced to 18. And Fox has cut Mulaney's order to 13 episodes. Netflix Canada has ordered its first original series, Between. So that's interesting. A couple of news articles I pulled out of Kate's wrap-up of this past week's TV news. One of them, I can't believe the 50th anniversary for this show is almost upon us. But apparently, Bewitched follow-up series lands at NBC with pilot production commitment. Had you... I know you're a little young.
I've seen it before. Don't act like I haven't.
Well, I didn't know. There's some shows that I've seen that you haven't, so I just want to make sure you know about Bewitched. What do you think of them? Now, this says in here that a follow-up series. This does not say a reboot or a relaunch. This it sounds like to me they're going to be doing a sequel series. What do you think of this?
Why?
Okay, the same thing can be said about Girl Meets World.
But this has been so long since the original series that this should never be made. It should be left in the past. They tried it a reboot as a movie.
Mm-hmm.
Granted, the casting of one of the characters wasn't so great. The other one was. But again, I don't really see the need in bringing this back.
Okay, for those not in the know, the article states, coming on the 50th anniversary of Bewitched's debut, The new version is a reimagining of the original series 2 generations later. It centers on Daphne, Samantha's granddaughter and Tabitha's daughter, a single 20-something witch who has always used her magical powers to conjure herself the perfect life. But she soon realizes that the one thing she cannot conjure and control is the one thing she wants most, real love. Love. Young love. Yeah. It's not something that I would be super stoked about, but I think if they get the right cast, it could really work. Obviously, you're not going to have a lot of the original cast members reprise. And I believe, the original actress that played Samantha is no longer with us. I don't know. I think it's kind of cool. So moving on to what Steve likes best. Superhero news. Arrow casts Vinnie Jones as comic book villain Brick. Thoughts, sir?
I'm not really familiar with the character.
Uh-huh.
I am familiar with the actor through the show The Cape.
Mm-hmm.
Which he played a guy that was called like Scales or something like that, and he looked like a more human version of Killer Croc.
Mm-hmm.
So,
have you ever? You've seen Gone in 60 Seconds.
It's been
right?
a long time.
He is Sphinx.
Again, it's been a long time. I don't remember.
He plays Sphinx in Gone in 60 Seconds. Sphinx is the character that doesn't speak until the very end. And he has an English accent. And Nicolas Cage said, I always thought you were from Long Beach. He was also in The Condemned opposite Stone Cold Steve Austin. He played the villain in that. I like this. I think it could be kind of cool. I'm catching up on Arrow. As of this episode of Remote Control, I am 3 episodes away from finishing season 2 so far. I'm really, really digging it. And I think this could be an interesting direction for them. The final news story we're going to talk about is that Morena Baccarin joins Gotham. She will be playing Dr. Leslie Tompkins. So far, we've already done our Gotham pilot premiere. I'll say this now here in the news segment. So far, Gotham is kind of hit or miss per episode for me. I don't outright hate it, but I'm not outright in love with it. Like, okay, you take Gotham, which is brand new. You take The Flash, which is brand new. Now, granted, Flash had a little bit of a buffering with, being started in Arrow, but you take The Flash and you take Gotham, you put them side by side. I love the hell out of Flash right now. More than Gotham is just this weird beast for me. It like I said, it's kind of hit or miss. But I think this is kind of cool that they've cast her in this role. It's going to be interesting to see what they do with this version of Dr. Tompkins. Any thoughts?
I have to agree with you. I think it's kind of one of those hit or miss things with Gotham. I'm fine with them introducing the character because, by the time Bruce is in, his 30s, 40s, she's like old. So this is about the right time to introduce her anyway. Plus, she has a lot to do with helping Bruce develop as a child.
Mm-hmm.
So
absolutely. All right, I think that's going to do it for this week's news. We're going to get to our main channel, which this week is Fox. Another Fox series, Red Band Society. Have you checked this out at all?
No.
Okay. All right. Well, up next, it's going to be Doug Abel and myself talking about Red Band Society. Stay tuned.
Please hold it. I'm late.
Doesn't mean I should be too.
Did you even brush your teeth this morning? Because your breath smells like toenails.
I see they got your name right.
Wasn't sure he could spell scary without adding an E, but he managed. Seriously?
We thought this was the new physical therapy room.
If you're gonna lie, lie well.
So, what's his deal? Is he dead?
He is in a coma.
You don't mind if I smoke, do you, coma boy?
You gotta wonder what I did to deserve this. Yeah, this is me talking to you from a coma. Deal with it.
Her roommate? It's not just them, it's their parents, their grandparents.
You're not gonna have to worry about that.
So what, he must be a total loser.
This is your new roommate, Leo Roth. Leo, this is Jordy Palacios.
I have cancer in my leg. Dr. McKendry's taking it off tomorrow.
You're gonna get through it.
It's easy for you to say.
Not really.
But look at you two, all matchy-matchy with your Hot Wheels.
Here's the weird thing about a hospital.
Hey.
You become friends with kids that you'd never know in a million years.
Are you gonna eat your lunch?
What kind of question is that?
I have cigarettes and diet pills if you get hungry.
I don't smoke, drink, or do drugs.
So unhealthy, right? Not like starving yourself.
I have a problem with my leg. It's gotta go tomorrow.
Would you get to keep it?
Yeah, I'm planning to freeze it.
Like wedding cake.
I need some help down here. Can you hear me? She needs to be wearing a heart monitor.
Assuming she has one.
Hello? I can hear you.
I know, baby.
Does it hurt?
It does hurt, but not the way you think it will.
I won't be me anymore.
Your body isn't you, your soul is you, and they can never cut into your soul.
We drug tested her. Amphetamines, nicotine, cocaine, marijuana, and that is going to put her at the bottom of the waiting list for a heart.
Can we dance? Might be a while before I get to again.
We few, we happy few, we band of brothers. For he, today that sheds his blood with me, shall be my brother.
Everyone thinks that when you go to a hospital, life stops.
Can I do something? Sure.
But it's just the opposite. Life starts.
All right, folks, that's the news. It's time for stage dressing for Red Band Society. It debuted this year, 2014, from Fox. Show length is 1 hour. We're kind of clueless on the length of how many seasons this is going to get. So far, they have at least 2 episodes in the works. I assume this is your standard, either 13 or 22 episode full season commitment. I'm not exactly sure, because right now it's only showing the first 4 episodes on Wikipedia, and yes, I know it's Wikipedia, whatever. So when did you first hear about this, Doug?
Actually, I'm going to be honest. I didn't hear about this show until you mentioned that you wanted to do it for remote control. So I was kind of like, okay, I've not heard about this show. What's it about? And so I started looking into it. And turns out that, they haven't actually, it's going to be airing on Hulu here for me since I don't actually have cable TV anymore, which is great because it means I can pick it up and follow each of the episodes every, the day after.
Right.
I was really kind of interested in how this was going to shake out, being that you had the kids and such being in a hospital, basically living their lives in a hospital. And I was kind of like, okay, let me check this out and see, if it's any good. And, surprisingly, I really kind of liked it.
Yeah, it's unlike anything that I've seen currently on television. I mean, sure, we have, stuff like, we've had stuff like ER, there's stuff like Grey's Anatomy, there's, if you really want to get technical, there's stuff like General Hospital, where things take place in hospitals. You know, you've had other shows in the past like Medical Investigation and stuff like that, or you look at House. As much as I don't care for that show, it's still something to equate this show to, because it
Yeah.
doctors, hospitals, all this and all that. For me, I saw the pilot. I saw the teaser for this, and I was interested and I was intrigued with it. But it wasn't until the pilot, when I sat down to watch it, I was like, "Oh my god, this is one of the best new shows on television." It really, really is. And I was wondering, like, I thought this was going to be one of those shows just by the title, and this is, sometimes what people think is, you see a title, you think of things. And I thought, oh, Red Band Society, that means that, it's basically going to be a show about something like you would see on, like, Make-A-Wish Foundation. It's going to be a show about sick kids, but I thought it was going to be something worse than that. I thought it was going to be like Burn Unit Kids, or or something where kids got infected by some sort of virus and they had to be quarantined. Come to find out, this, to me, I'm going to say this now, you're probably going to groan and roll your eyes. Our listeners are probably going to groan and roll their eyes at me. But after I watched the pilot for this, I thought, okay, this is cool. It is the 21st century version of Dead Poets Society.
Yeah, I can see that. I actually can see it.
The only reason why I say that is because of how the episode unfolds and finding out why the show is called the Red Band Society.
Yeah.
It's because you have all of the, you have this group of kids in this hospital. They all have problems. They all come from very different walks of life. We go from there. I, again, absolutely love this. I remember when I first saw this, and when I heard Charlie's voiceover, I'm like, oh no. This is going to be what Fox tried to do with Touch.
Yeah.
Because in the Kiefer Sutherland series Touch, his son Jake did the monologuing because Jake didn't talk. The actual physical character did not talk. And I'm like, oh no, it's going to be something like that. And it really wasn't. This was really fun. I really liked it. Let's go ahead and talk about the cast a little bit. Let's jump on the casting couch, as it were, because our second discussion base here is the casting couch. We have so many cool people in this one. Really, so many cool people. You've got the nurse, the head nurse here. I know I've seen her in other things. I have to actually look here and see.
This is the thing. My wife sat down and watched it with me last night, and the first thing that she saw, first thing that she said when she saw this was, "Oh, hey, that's that chick from The Help." And I'm like, okay, cool. You know who it is. So that helped. Scary bitch.
Yeah. It was just so cool. Okay, so we've got Scary Bitch is played by Octavia Spencer. I've seen her in other things. I know I have. I'm pulling up her IMDb. It was not The Help that I saw her in. It wasn't Snowpiercer or Being John Malkovich either. I know I've seen her in other things. What was it? Because I remember her from something. It wasn't 30 Rock. It wasn't Smashed.
Dollhouse, maybe. She was on an episode of... She was on The Big Bang Theory as one of the nurses. Remember?
That's what it is. The nurse when
he gets...
Howard... Yeah.
Yes, that's what it is.
That's what it is. I remember her from The Big Bang Theory. That's exactly what it is.
And strangely enough, the character name in that was Octavia.
I remember exactly where I've seen her now. It was Big Bang, like you said, but I remember exactly where I've seen her now that I see it on here. She was Dr. Evelini on Wizards of Waverly Place. I remember exactly now where I've seen... Because I looked at her and watched her in Red Band Society here. I'm like, where have I seen that face? Where have I seen... And I just saw it now and I'm like, oh, but of course.
Yep.
She was hilarious as Dr. Evelini in that. So other cast members here, we have Dave Annable as Dr. Jack McAndrew. I've never heard of this guy.
My wife kept looking at him and going, he looks familiar, but I couldn't place him. The name sounds familiar.
He was in Brothers and Sisters. He was in 66 Park Avenue, or 666 Park Avenue. He was in Brothers and Sisters as Justin Walker / Justin March in 2011. He was in the Reunion TV series. He was in, the 2004 film Little Black Book as Bean. So he doesn't have too much to his background. I like him as this character. I like the character of Dr. McAndrew. You have Astro as Dash Hosney. I don't want to pull a not another teen movie reference here, but it seems as if he is the token black guy.
Yep.
Oh no. He is rumored to play Ryan James, and it's supposedly completed for Space Jam 2 in 2016. Oh my god. Let's see. Other things. He was in Person of Interest for an episode. The rest of it is he was on X Factor as himself, obviously. He was on the Wendy Williams show as himself. This kid really doesn't have
he
lot
was
to his...
Yeah, he was in Earth to Echo this summer's kind of E.T. type of thing that flopped.
Did it flop really?
It didn't last very long, unfortunately. I kind of wanted to see it because I kind of like that sort of, family movie type of thing, and I couldn't bring myself to sit down and watch it.
You've got him. You've got Griffin Gluck, who plays the voice of Charlie and Charlie himself. You got Zoe Levin as Kara Saunders or Sodders. Sierra Bravo as Emma Chota. Rebecca Rittenhouse as Brittany Dobler. Charlie Rowe as Leo Roth. The one thing that really surprises me about this show is you've got the Rookie of the Year here, the other American Pie guy. Thomas Ian Nicholas as Nick. I haven't seen a Thomas Ian Nicholas production or anything with this guy in years. I love Rookie of the Year. I love that movie. So that's the core cast. There are others that are going to show up as we go along. For this, what I've tried to do here in Pilot Premiere for Remote Control is I try to go, obviously after the episode has aired on television and all the internet has been able to get, the IMDb has been able to get all the info for each episode. I try to go into each episode post on IMDb and grab the current cast out of that episode. So that's what I've done here. You've got Griffin Dunn as Ruben Garcia. Where have I seen this guy before? I've seen Ruben before. He was in After Hours, Dallas Buyers Club, An American Werewolf in London. Oh my god, he was in My Girl.
Okay. And I hate to say this, I kept looking at him and thinking, oh, hey, this is his character reminded me of Judd Hirsch.
Mm-hmm.
Who I know we'll talk
about next time, yeah.
But I kept thinking that's who it was at first. And I'm like, no, that's not him. It just looks scruffy.
No, it's not Judd Hirsch. But no, I like him. I think he's cool. Any thoughts on the cast to this point for this pilot?
I like them all. Rebecca Rittenhouse's character, Brittany Dobler, who's the
nurse.
Yeah, she's the cute redheaded nurse, but obviously I got the feeling watching her was that she would have been better playing as a blonde because of that typical blonde stereotype that you have. Just kind of, oh, I'm an airhead type of thing, and I'm cute, but I'm stupid. That was kind of what I got. And I'm thinking to myself, please, 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 please make sure that she's got some more sense later on.
Yeah.
I loved a lot of the characters. Leo, I loved I loved him being there, and you seeing him just being this hard ass throughout the entire thing, and you kind of get a chance to see him warm up.
Yeah.
And he's, from what I'm seeing here so far, I would say he's probably going to end up being the leader of this group of Red Band Society.
I would say he would be the leader in the sense of taking action to get the things done.
Yeah.
But honestly, I think even though he's in a coma, I think Charlie is the real leader because he brings everybody together.
Yes.
So there is that. For me in the cast, I like them. I like how they all interact well with each other. Yeah, you're probably right. She would have been better as a blonde, but I like Rittenhouse's acting with this because it's not often that you see a ginger act like a blonde.
Yeah.
And it's really, it isn't even really acting like a blonde, honestly. I mean, this girl has only been here 6 months. So it's technically, she's still raw at this hospital. So, I mean, I can see why she wants to be the upbeat and chipper one and bring in muffins and everything else.
Well, very much the innocent, I guess, would be the best way to put it.
Yeah. Pretty much. So basically, if you guys haven't figured it out by now, the overall plot for the series and the plot for this episode as we are going to jump or not jump the shark here in Remote Control. An unlikely group of rebellious friends face adolescents at a Los Angeles Ocean Park hospital. Now, I'm getting that from IMDb. I actually tried to write something up myself, but it basically ended up being a 3-page synopsis of what the episode was. So I was like, I'm not doing that.
Yeah.
I mean, yes, they become friends, but only as the pilot goes on. There really isn't, in this age of television, there really aren't opening theme songs. There is a theme song at the end of the episode. I don't know if you listened to it at all. But go ahead.
Oh, no, I was just going to say, I mean, I heard a little bit of it because, again, I was picking up on the iTunes version of it, so.
Well, that's what I had too. I mean, there is a theme song at the very end. So there is music at the end, which is what I'll probably play to close out this episode of Remote Control. So we really can't comment on the theme. I mean, it's there, it's nice, it has a nice little hook to it. The plot itself, I like it. I think it's really cool. And so my notes here, because I did take about 5 or 6 different notes about this. When I saw the ad for the show and thought it was intriguing, as I already said, there aren't many shows on TV like this today. I was only 2 minutes in, and I immediately liked the direction of the show, as well as the character depth as each character was introduced. I liked how you have these 5 or 6 kids that come from all walks of life. You see Kara, and you assume, because that's what we all do. You see Kara, she's a cheerleader. We all assume that she's going to be this, stereotypical stuck-up cheerleader, and she is. But when she gets to the hospital and when they find out what's wrong, that she actually has something wrong with her, she has a bad heart, we come to realize that there's more to her than what she let people to believe, and it takes her becoming unconscious and actually going to where Charlie is. This is what I love about the show. They take a character, have her knock herself out or have her pass out and become unconscious again, and she goes to where Charlie is. I love that part because I don't know how much of Charlie we're going to be able to. I mean, sure, we see him and we hear him because he's the narrator, But as far as actually seeing him around and acting and, going around to these kids, I don't know how much we're going to see of him as this season goes on or as the series goes on. But I still absolutely love that scene. And it's just one of the things that is just so great about this show. There's so many different character types in this show. And what they do is they blend them well, and at the same time they make them stick out. I love that. I thought that was great.
Yeah, it was really pretty good. I mean, I'm going to make some analogies here.
Mm-hmm.
When I first saw a little bit of what this show was, because I hadn't actually sat down and watched it. I was trying to read online to see what it was going to be like, to kind of get some just general impressions. So I kind of go, okay. First thought was, this is Glee meets House without the musicals. Without the musical numbers.
Oh.
Okay, that was my first impression, and I am so glad I was wrong. I am so glad I was wrong.
Yeah.
Okay, and I mean that was kind of what I thought, and I'm like, oh, okay. And then when I start watching it, and I see again, like you said, basically about the first 5 minutes when you start seeing the cheerleader and just being a major bitch to everybody. Mm-hmm. And then she passes out and everybody starts Instagramming the pictures of her passed out on the ground. Oh my God. Wow. I can't believe that people are that nasty to her.
It's not, well, that's the thing. And I'm sorry to cut you off here from your notes, but when that happened, that's a commentary on what society has become today. Because that's exactly, doesn't matter if it's a cheerleader, if it's a stuck-up football player, or if it was, if it's a snobbish mathlete, it doesn't matter. Anything happens to them that they've wronged you, you're going to then go back and do what all of these kids did to her, and taking these pictures of her being passed out. And I'm sure a lot of them photoshopped them and wrote shit on there that, wasn't so flattering. But continue.
Oh yeah, I mean, we had that. You kind of get a chance to see that. You see some of the kids who are coming in. I love the fact of how they brought in Charlie. Mm-hmm. I mean, you see him there, you hear him talking, and I'm kind of thinking to myself, okay, as you mentioned before, you got a 12-year-old kid who's narrating everything. Oh, is this going to go well? And then all of a sudden it comes to him, and he's laying there in the coma, and he's like, suck it up, deal with it. I'm in a coma, so what? And I just kind of went, okay, I'm getting like Charlie already, you know? And that was kind of the attitude I had. Now, my wife, she was watching it, and she kind of made this analogy in that she goes, wow, Charlie really isn't going to be speaking a whole lot, but it reminds me of the narration of Desperate Housewives, because in Desperate Housewives, the very beginning, the narrator gets killed. And you kind of hear her narrating everything that's happening on Wisteria Lane. This is kind of like, she goes, it's kind of like that, only he's not dead yet. I said, okay, I saw that analogy as well, and I kind of went, that works. I understand that. I at first thought that this was going to be just, I can see them building on this, even changing out some of the characters. Yes, they've introduced us to some of these characters, but they've already set us up for some of these characters passing on and introducing new characters. I think that is actually going to work well for the show.
I don't think they should do that until the end of the season to transition into like a second season. If Fox allows this show, which they should, I mean, I'm telling you, people, this, at least in my personal opinion, is one of the best new shows of this season, of this 2014-2015 TV season. And if it does well in the ratings and Fox sees that it's doing well and they put it on for a second season, I could see then them changing the characters. But I tell you one thing I do not want from this show. 7 episodes in, 3 of the characters die or something else happens to them and they change. I don't want them to know, because we're just now getting to know these characters. I want to know more about them. I want to know more about their interaction as the season goes along.
Yeah, I mean, I could see them bringing in a kid for an episode or 2 and then killing that kid off because of something that happens. And it's kind of like, okay, bummer. Moving on. This is life. You're moving on. I can see that. So that dynamic, I think, would work okay. The fact that you're seeing these kids kind of banding together and, as they mentioned, being from all different walks of life and kind of coming together to be what they are, stuck in a hospital, which that's a whole other weird thing for me, seeing the kids going to school in a hospital. I really kind of liked how they're putting this dynamic together. It's hospital high is the way I felt on it.
Mm. I mean, but I like it though, because it does show you it shows you a way of life that you don't like. Everyone, myself, I'm sure you, anybody in your family, anyone in this world hates going to the hospital or going to the doctor.
Yes.
Because, everybody's like, oh my God, hospitals, they're so dirty, they're so infectious, we're all going to get sick and die. And these kids, they can live there because most of them probably, they're all pretty terminal. I mean, between Kara's heart condition, Charlie being in a coma, what's his name? Token guy. Oh, God. Dash's respiratory problems. The fact that Leo and this new kid...
yeah.
The new kid. Good Lord.
Jordy Palacios.
Jordy. The new kid, Jordy, they both have cancer. Leo has had his leg already removed. Jordy's about to have his leg worked on, if not removed. I mean, so these are kids that take advantage, and they point that out. They take every advantage they can on this hospital.
Oh, hell
because
yes.
they are terminally ill patients.
Let me point out one of those things there real quick, because I took note on this. When you can tell they take advantage because they know the parking garage attendants, and the parking garage attendants think that the doctors are dicks, which coincidentally they steal Dr. Dick's BMW
car.
Goes off for a joyride. Just taking advantage of that and seeing that and playing off the fact that they're sick, terminal kids, they're crippled kids trying to buy beer and, get laid. I love that. Absolutely love that.
Yeah, and you've got Jordy coming in, and he was in Mexico, and he's the new kid, and everybody looks at him and is like, oh, the new kid, X, no, skull and crossbones, get away. But, as time goes on, he becomes one of them. By the time they get to the scene you're talking about, he actually helps them get the beer.
Yeah.
Which that guy, that guy should have his liquor license revoked.
Oh, yeah.
Immediately. I mean, yeah, I mean, and showing us a side of, like, hospitals, you don't really see a lot of... every time I've gone to a hospital, unless it's the ER, when you're on, like, a regular floor, there really isn't a lot of activity. It's usually, like, the loading docks, the ER entrances, the OR wings and stuff like that. So going through this hospital and seeing that the entire place is bustling with activity was really cool. I really dug it. And I like and I dislike the fact that the nurses, Nurse Jackson, I think that's what her name was.
Yeah.
Nurse Jackson, she's basically the matron of this ward. And, she's pretty much, the hard ass, and, she's gonna, she cares about these kids, you can tell, and we'll get to that by the end of the show, but in the beginning, like you said, she is the scary bitch.
Yeah.
And these other nurses, the redhead and the other mixed, or the other black guy nurse, they see Kara when Kara comes in, pressing the call button because she's still under, just before she gets her news of her condition, and she wants everything now. And, when pressing her button doesn't work, she starts pressing Charlie's, and they freak the hell out. And Nurse Jackson gives her a piece of her mind right away, takes her phone away.
Yes.
and we go from there. Um, and so I love her character depth because, sure, it shows us the stereotypical side, and then because she has a bad heart, they hadn't noticed it before. They bring her parents in. We find out that during all this time, we find out there's a guy that comes into Charlie and Kara's room, and he is singing and playing guitar for Charlie. We come to find out that that is actually Charlie's dad. And she tells him, well, if you don't get me a phone, I'm going to spill your secret. So she gets him a phone. She makes whatever phone call she makes. The next thing we see is that her quote-unquote friend shows up with flowers. And apparently the friend tells her about how everyone just hates her and everything else. This is what causes her to go unconscious again. What causes her heart to stop. And she then goes to the in-between place with Charlie. And he says, I don't know how much time we've got here, so you need to listen to this right now.
Yeah.
And she listens, and she goes back, and she eventually tells his dad what he said, and she also takes heed to his request for the pizza to try to wake him up. And
that was an awesome scene how they did that. And go ahead.
That scene was amazing because that's the scene this show took a deeper emotional turn for all of the characters, because you've got her plastering up with masking tape, send pizza room 5115, and it's already the end of the day for Nurse Jackson. She sees this and she makes a phone call, and we realize she has, I'm not saying she doesn't have a heart, but, again, it goes to the layers of these characters and how the writers have done so well with these characters.
Yeah. And I will admit, my first thought when I saw that with her looking on the bus and looking up and seeing it was, oh my God, she's going to go back in there and she's going to give this kid a piece of her mind. And then all of a sudden you see the pizzas show up. And when I first saw the pizzas starting to show up, I'm like, oh, so other people on the street saw it and they're sending pizza to this kid. And then I realized that it's her doing this good deed. You're talking about her pulling out the phone. I'm thinking, okay, she's going to make a phone call to them and say, hey, you need to go get the tape down right now. And then you see this different side of her, and all of a sudden it's like, oh my God, wow, she really does have a heart. She really is a nice person.
I think the thing about this is that she is, deep down, she really is a nice person. And I think what it is she probably knows that Charlie liked pizza. Because that was the thing. He says to Kara, pizza might help me get out of this coma. And I really do think Nurse Jackson wants them for them all to succeed and not be ill anymore. I really do think that. And, again, this show is all about layers to the characters, and it's absolutely amazing. I absolutely loved it. Let's see. I'm not sure as of this moment that I can pick a favorite character, because they each bring something to the table. At first I thought, like everyone did, that I was going to loathe Kara, but she brings a side to the story that is needed, because everybody, again, this is a show about characters from all different walks of life.
Yeah.
Each of the characters, whether they're the kids or the adults in the show, all bring something unique to the show. Absolutely loved it. Really did. I cannot wait until the second episode. I just can't wait. I'm going to say this right now, kind of going into the remote control review part of the show. I haven't figured out yet, I think I've figured out. Wait a minute. So as we've already established here in Remote Control, for the Remote Control review section, we are going to use a 0 to 5 scale of remote controls. Why not? This is still based on the GCRN Universal Rating System, which is, 0 to 5 stars. It can include half marks. So this is still that rating system, except we're going to use remote controls instead of stars. For me, at this point, I'm excited for more. I cannot wait to see the second episode. The pilot set everyone up very well. There was no character drop-off. I'm going to go ahead and give it 5 remotes because I loved it. I thought it was great.
I'm going to give it 5 remotes for just this episode. Overall...
Right. No, yes. No. Let me rephrase here. Yes, we are just rating the pilot here. This is not... We're not rating the entire season because we haven't seen the entire season at this point. No. For the pilot, this gets 5 remotes.
Yeah.
Now, the other thing that I want to bring up that I should have brought up a moment ago was the other scene, the party scene. And they all go up to the roof.
Yeah.
And during this, right before this scene, we get a scene with all the adults. We get a scene with Ruben, with Nurse Jackson, and Dr. McAndrew. And you can tell in that scene that they all really care about these kids. And then we get to the roof. And on the roof scene, you have Leo talking about his multiple operations and everything else and why he wears the red bands. And they're hospital bands from every surgery and every operation he's had. And there are, 5 or 6 of them? Basically, he gives reasons why he's giving each one of the members of the group a red band, and that's how they become the Red Band Society. Again, kind of reminding me of the Dead Poets Society.
Yeah.
So that's where I got the Dead Poets reference from, is from seeing them all come together as a group, and they have this camaraderie now. So there's that.
Yeah, and I mean, I'm going to give it my 5 stars just because of how everything came together. I really, I should say 5 remotes. I really liked it for the episode. It was a very well done pilot episode in that it does make me want to watch more. It's not it's not like some pilot episodes where you see it where it's kind of leaving a lot of stuff to be built up for future episodes where it's going to be slow building. This kind of gives you a taste of what you're going to be seeing throughout the season and says, expect more of this.
Yeah.
And I really, really like that for this. Whether I'll keep watching the show, I definitely am going to say I'm going to watch episode 2. I'm going to give it at least 2 to 3 episodes before I really pass further judgment and say, or yes, definitely.
Yeah, I mean, there may be a time where we might stop watching, but I can say right now, for me personally, I'm going to watch through the first season.
Yeah.
And just see where it goes. And then after that, we'll make judgment. We're going to take a quick break. You're going to hear some ads from other network podcasts and other stuff as well. We'll come back with as we exit stage left. We'll be back after this.
Now for a behind-the-scenes look at Geekcast Radio Network's newest show, Talking in Circles.
So, Chuck, Greg, what are you guys thinking for this week's show?
Well, Dan, how about we just talk about the things that we've read or watched this week?
We do reviews like that every week, Chuck. How about a game like Fact or Fiction or The Power of Names?
Those are great, and we're always coming up with new ideas for games. And how about some top 5s? You know how I love my top 5s.
What about tournament-style brackets, or sequel, reboot, and destroy, who will win in a fight, taking too far, crazy but true news, or...
Yes, it appears we have lots of things to work on.
Listen to Talking in Circles, taking timeless topics in new directions, every Tuesday on iTunes or GeekCastRadio.com, the Geekcast Radio Network.
Hey, Dan, who's the guy with the creepy voice?
I'm Colin Baker.
My name's Fraser Hines.
Hi, I'm Daphne Ashbrook.
This is Andrew Cartmel.
Hi, this is Colin Spall.
Hello, I'm Simon Fisher-Becker.
This is Ian McNeice.
Hi, this is Travis Ritchie.
You listen to this Mark 42's.
Listen to Mark 42's Universe.
If you're into Doctor Who, listen to Mark 42's Universe. We always have the latest Doctor Who news, reviews, and interviews. We are available on iTunes, Stitcher Radio, Geekcast Radio Network, and our home base, markwho42.net.
Mark Who 42, the meaning of life.
Hello, geeks. Want a podcast that covers a vast array of topics with no rhyme or reason? Then check out Altered Geek Unlimited, where the topics fly more or less off the cuff. We cover media news, TV, our favorite geek products, and of course, your feedback. So get altered, get geeky with the Altered Geeks every Friday on the Geekcast Radio Network.
All right, we are going to be exiting stage left, and it is time for final thoughts. Final thoughts, sir?
Well, I gotta say, I loved it. Loved the show. I'm looking forward to more. One thing I practically died laughing about was when you first see Kara and she's there in the room with Charlie, and she lights up the cigarette, and Charlie lets her have it by farting in his coma.
Yeah.
My wife I thought my wife was going to fall out of her chair laughing. She looks at it, she goes, "Oh my God." And then she points to me, she goes, "That's so you. That's so something that you would do." And I'm like, God damn it.
Because Kara doesn't think that. Kara thinks, okay, coma, that means they're out, they're gone. They can't, they can't hear, smell, anything. But yeah, you can, being in a coma, you can hear, smell. Don't know if you can taste, if people would feed. Obviously, you're not supposed to feed someone in a coma, but, that goes to prove a point.
And the fact that when she's there and she's actually seeing Charlie in her between time, and she goes, "Oh my God, can you smell what you're letting go?" And just again, my wife is dying of laughter, and I'm just going, okay, if she's laughing like this, it's going to be a good show. It's going to be something that she's going to be hooked with. So I think that it's going to last for a while.
Yeah. I mean, even if the show lasts just one season, that's fine, because, I'm loving this show. I think it's great. Usually, when she asks him that, can you smell what you're letting go? And, it's not going to faze him, because, we all enjoy letting our own farts go. I mean, that's the whole point. Absolutely love the pilot. Can't wait to hear more. We may or may not be back for a finishing finale on this one. I'm thinking we probably will be. So please, why don't you pimp out Talking About My Generation before we leave?
All right. Talking About My Generation is the pop culture podcast that I do for Retro Podcast. It's over at mygenerationpodcast.com. You can write us over there at mygenerationpodcast@gmail.com, or visit us on Facebook. We talk about things like Ghostbusters, old movies, old TV shows, video games. We just covered A Link to the Past. We covered Happy Gilmore. We're going to be covering a lot of other things. At some point in time, we'll probably do something maybe like Brady Bunch or something like that. We're getting to it. Come on over, listen to us at mygenerationpodcast.com, talking about my generation.
All right. We hope you enjoyed the latest episode of Remote Control, and hope you'll stop channel surfing to tune in to us next time, when we talk about the pilot premiere for ABC's Forever, starring Mr. Fantastic himself, Ian Gruffud. I don't know how to say his first name.
Gruffud,
I don't think anybody. Mr. Fantastic from the original 2004 Fantastic Four movie, the one with Michael Chiklis. For now, I am TFG and Mike with
Doug Abel.
Tune in next time when we'll be all fighting over the remote control.
Neanderthals were considered adults when they turned 9, which had to bite. But today, you're considered an adult when you're like in your 20s, which is probably bad for the future of mankind, but lucky for me, because I'm in a coma. Yeah, this is me talking to you from a coma. Deal with it.
What if a hospital was your high school, your summer camp, your boarding school? What if it was the place that you had the most fun in your entire life?
Red Band Society is in that great spirit of the successful Fox shows, the kind of teen soaps, but with real issues and real problems and real humor. Almost a kind of dark hospital humor, which is the way children's hospitals are.
This is probably the best pilot script I've ever read.
The show is based on a true story, and the guy wrote a memoir about what happened to him when he had cancer as a kid and how he made the best friends he ever had in his life.
I only hope I can be half the man you are, my friend.
The show is narrated by Charlie, who's in a coma. So Charlie's going to be everywhere he wants to be in the story, telling us what's going on and what he really thinks.
Here's the weird thing about a hospital. You become friends with kids that you'd never know in a million years. Losers, populars, stoners, nerds. The walls just kind of fall down.
It's the breakfast club in a hospital where they get to fall in love, where they get to make friends, and they kind of get to break the rules.
Busted.
Seriously?
Buzzkill.
It's got a really dark comic vein that runs through the center of the show always.
You want to tell me why you pushed a kid in a coma's call button?
No, the service here is terrible, and I'm starving.
You know what happens to patients who cry wolf? We sell their organs for cash on the black market and split the money.
The main character is Leo Roth, and he's been staying in this LA hospital for a while, having some really invasive treatments. But it's there that he makes friends and discovers this group that he calls the Red Band Society.
We few, we happy few, we band of brothers. For he, today that sheds his blood with me, shall be my brother.
The Red Band Society catches these kids in a moment in time in their lives, unlike any other.
Come on, dance with me.
They have the highest highs and the lowest lows, and mostly they have a lot of fun.
Once you see the first 5 minutes of it, you're going to want to know what is going to happen with each of these characters.
They're darkly comic, they're irreverent, they're ironic.
So, like, wake up already.
They're really captivating in going through the struggles that they're going through, because they're having to fight a hard battle, but they're not letting that stop them. There's no self-pity. The Red Bands are their way of connecting to one another and saying, we have each other's backs, no matter what.